Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explained here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the dangerous game that Shikamaru and Kashin Koji are playing with the awakened Shinju, and there's something that's been set up here with Shikamaru and Kashin Koji that ironically links back to the Naruto manga that I feel deserves its own conversation. In this Boruto era where Naruto's been leading the ninja world towards moving away from the cycle of pain that the ninja world has been trapped inside of for so long, Shikamaru and Kashin Koji, they are running the mistake of introducing these awakened Shinju to the concept of pain and suffering, which I do believe stands a chance at dooming the future. If you're someone who's a huge fan of Hokage Naruto, you're absolutely gonna love this video. The situation with Shikamaru and Kashin Koji and the awakened Shinju, it deeply encapsulates a deep philosophical and narrative tension in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. At its core, the conflict reflects a tragic cycle of misunderstanding and mistrust, where human fears and logical decision-making risk perpetuating the very cycle of hatred that Naruto works so hard to dismantle. And it's my hope by the end of this video, you deeply understand what it is I'm getting at, because this is a self-fulfilling prophecy where betrayal will breed monsters. Shikamaru and Kashin Koji's strategy to have Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru befriend the awakened Shinju to exploit their trust, it is inherently flawed. This calculated act of betrayal, it teaches the Shinju, who are still developing emotionally and morally, the painful lessons of mistrust. Betrayal and manipulation may push Jura to cause the Shinju to move further down that road of being the monstrous predators that Shikamaru and Kashin Koji fear them to be. The Shinju's moral ambiguity is the biggest thing here. So Jura and the Shinju, they already walk a fine line between instinct and morality. We saw as much when Jura basically tells Code, like, we have other interests besides just wanting to go through and find Boruto and Kawaki and harvest a chakra fruit. We'll get to that when we get to that. Their natural inclination to see humans as potential nourishment for a chakra fruit, it is being tempered in the narrative by their ability to process emotions and experiences of their own. For example, Matsuri's hesitancy to consume Konohamaru despite her instincts, it reflects this internal struggle that is growing. She admitted that her feelings, which are deeply enrooted in how Moegi feels love for Konohamaru, is clouding her judgment by her own admittance, and it's showing that the Shinju, they can transcend their nature if they are given the opportunity to. However, Shikamaru and Kashin Koji, they are teaching hatred through betrayal. Betraying the trust of developing beings like the Shinju, it sends a clear message. Love and trust, they are dangerous, and pain is deeply inevitable. This echoes what Mamoru Uchiha asserted, that love and hatred are deeply intertwined. By experiencing love or trust, beings open themselves up for the possibility of betrayal, which breeds resentment and it breeds hatred. If the Shinju are betrayed, they may respond by fully embracing their predatory instincts, convinced that coexistence with humans, it is impossible. This also goes into the samsaric cycle of suffering and how that deeply plays off of Shikamaru's extremely flawed logic. Naruto's vision for the ninja world, it aimed to break free of that samsaric cycle of hatred. It is a key Buddhist concept. The cycle perpetuates the endless suffering through actions rooted in fear, revenge, and misunderstanding. Shikamaru, however, appears to have inadvertently created a new iteration of this cycle by treating the Shinju as enemies rather than beings that are capable of change. Naruto's vision, under his leadership, the Five Nations, they overcame their historical animosity to foster peace and harmony. The unity was deeply rooted in Buddhist principle of ending suffering through understanding and compassion. Those are key aspects to Naruto's character. How many times have we seen Naruto attempt to talk to somebody before Naruto ultimately put those hands on them? Naruto began to understand as he got older that violence only begets more violence. Shikamaru, he's taken the more pragmatic approach. As 8th Hokage, Shikamaru relies on cold logic and precedent, much like the strategies of the past Hokage. He views Jura and the Shinju as being existential threats to be neutralized or manipulated and then ultimately neutralized. However, this approach, it replaces the wars amongst nations with a new war against the Shinju. Instead of resolving a deeper root of conflict, rooted in fear and misunderstanding, Shikamaru is perpetuating it by antagonizing a group that is still forming their identity. It builds on what Itachi said about Sasuke, which is that he was still a canvas that could be dyed any color. It's the same thing with these Shinju. The Shinju, they have the potential to overcome instinct. They are not inherently evil. They are beings that are evolving based on their interactions with humans and based off of the influence that comes from the chakra that was used to create them. In particular, the human chakra is used to create them. Human beings are not inherently evil, and we're seeing that the Shinju, they can go either way as well. More likely than not, they will be villains, but now we have to ask, are they being made into villains? Matsuri's words about Konohamaru when speaking to Jura that she might eat him, it highlights her internal conflict. She wasn't acting purely off of instinct. She's grappling with emotions and morality and with emotions of love, and much like a human, learning to navigate those complex feelings, that is not an easy thing to do. The role of emotions, it is something that is going to play a huge role in this arc. Matsuri's hesitation, it shows that love, inspired by Moegi's love for Konohamaru, complicates her predatory instincts. This aligns with the idea that emotions can guide beings to transcend their base nature. If the Shinju can experience love, they can also learn empathy and cooperation, and even self-restraint. We see the latter, self-restraint, in the way that Jura is not killing everyone inside of Konoha because he's got books to read. We see it in the latter, in the way that Ryu is saying like, hey, I was gonna kill all the shinobi I saw, but Jura told me, hey, some of them aren't bad. You're teaching pain instead of love. By teaching the Shinju the pain of betrayal, Shikamaru and Kashin Koji, they risk steering them away from this emotional growth. Instead of fostering positive emotions like trust and compassion, they create the environment where hatred and vengeance, they are ultimately going to thrive. This also, once again, goes back to Madara's words on love and hatred. Madara's philosophy that love inevitably exposes one to hatred, it fits perfectly into this narrative. The Shinju's initial curiosity and their willingness to engage with humans, it can be seen as their first steps towards love and trust. However, betrayal and manipulation will twist this love into hatred, as the Shinju will internalize this lesson that humans are untrustworthy. It's the story playing with the theme that love is a double-edged sword. For the Shinju, learning to love, learning to trust means risking the pain of rejection and betrayal. If humans repeatedly exploited their trust, the Shinju are likely going to retaliate with hatred, fulfilling Madara's prophecy, in particular when you look at what's going to happen with Matsuri and Ryu. Jura's leadership is also the other thing. Jura, as the leader of the Shinju, his perception of humans is going to shape the actions of his kind. The moment that Jura says it's green light season, everyone dies. If he feels betrayed, his growing resentment, it could unify the Shinju directly against humanity, cementing them into being enemies and apex predators like Shikamaru and Kashin Koji have feared. These are the consequences of Shikamaru's mistake here. The Shinju, like the humans, they grow through experience. That is how they are being written. They are going through the stages of humanity. By experiencing betrayal, they are learning the darkest aspects of human nature. Instead of fostering mutual understanding, Shikamaru's strategy is teaching the Shinju to hate and fear humanity. This will likely transform them into the very monsters he wants to prevent. Curiosity versus betrayal. The Shinju's initial curiosity about humans, it mirrors the innocence of a child exploring the world. Betrayal, it corrupts this innocence, introducing a child into pain and mistrust, making them into, say, a decade, 2 decades later, into the individual that might be in prison for life for carrying out a mass shooting in a grocery store or something. It's the same thing. Instead of giving them something that guides them towards coexistence and understanding, Shikamaru's actions, they're pushing these Shinju towards aggression and vengeance. It is, once again, a new cycle of hatred. Shikamaru's logical but short-sighted approach, it mirrors the mistakes of past generations. By creating a new enemy in the Shinju, he is perpetuating that samsaric cycle that Naruto sought to end when it came to suffering. And Boruto is a story. When you read into what is being written in the story, is about overcoming and escaping that cycle of suffering. Shikamaru's actions, while coldly logical, they are rooted in his role as Hokage and is a leader responsible not just for the Leaf Village, but also for the broader survival of humanity. His decisions, they stem from pragmatism, prioritizing immediate security over long-term ideals. Given the Shinju's existential threat as apex predators, the balance of logic and the greater good, that is something that is pushing this whole thing. As Hokage, Shikamaru's duty, it extends beyond the Leaf Village to the broader world itself. Humanity's survival, it literally hinges on its ability to protect them from unprecedented and existential threats that we see in the Shinju. Jura and all these Shinju, they are not ordinary adversaries. They possess enormous power. They possess nearly limited potential for growth and an instinctual drive to create chakra fruits by consuming humanity by harvesting it. Allowing them to grow unchecked, it could lead to humanity's extinction. So Shikamaru is not wrong in how he is fearful of the Shinju. He has that duty to humanity as apex predators. The Shinju, they right now exist at the top of the food chain. They have the capability to harvest a chakra fruit and destroy the entire planet and ecosystems and populations in the process. Shikamaru cannot afford a gamble on the hope that they might overcome their instincts. While it might be likely that they turn evil, he can't take a 1% chance that they might go the other direction. His decisions, while ruthless, they are focused on safeguarding humanity's future. It's a stark difference between himself and Naruto. It is a battle of cold logic over ideals. Naruto obviously being the latter. Shikamaru's approach to being Hokage, it reflects the realism that you saw with a lot of the past Hokage, who often prioritize the village's safety over moral considerations. Again, Hashirama said, "I'll kill my son if it means protecting the village." He recognizes that in the face of potential extinction level threats, proactive aggression might be the only viable defense, especially if you can do so from a sneaky perspective. The Shinju, they, for all intents and purposes, are apex predators. They represent a huge challenge for humanity, an extinction level challenge for humanity, embodying the concept of an apex predator in the world of chakra and ninjutsu. They have innate instincts because the Shinju are biologically predisposed to view humans as nourishment for creating a chakra fruit. This natural drive makes them inherently dangerous. Even if an individual like Matsuri shows potential for moral growth, they have unparalleled power. As beings linked to the Ten Tails, the Shinju, they possess abilities that rival or surpass even the most powerful shinobi to have ever existed. Their capacity to learn, evolve, and act collectively under Jura's leadership, it makes them a nearly unstoppable force as a collective. The risk of coexistence, while individuals like the Shinju have shown signs of overcoming their instincts, they cannot guarantee that this will continue to be the case. A single failure on either side could result in a catastrophic consequence for the sake of humanity. Shikamaru, when you really think about it, his aggression, it is a necessity. Shikamaru's aggressive stance towards the Shinju is not born from malice, but from the harsh reality of their threat. His calculated approach, it seeks to preemptively neutralize them before they become an uncontrollable force. Taking the proactive defense is Shikamaru understanding that waiting for the Shinju to act could give them the opportunity to grow stronger and more organized and more intelligent. By taking this initiative, he aims to mitigate the risk before it escalates beyond his control. It's a preservation of humanity's future. Shikamaru, his actions, they all come down to prioritizing the survival of the human race, which is why he's leaning on Kashin Koji's 10 directions. While his decisions do appear to be cruel, they are grounded in the belief that protecting the majority sometimes requires difficult sacrifices. It is the burden of leadership. As Hokage, Shikamaru carries the burden of making decisions that others may find morally reprehensible. His choice to prioritize humanity's safety over ideas of coexistence that Naruto would have pushed for, it reflects the heavy responsibility of leadership. Naruto's no longer around, so he has to be the one that makes the decision. It's a tragic dilemma that's going to push the narrative forward. Shikamaru's stance towards the Shinju, while again it is tragic, but it is also pragmatic. It is a response to an extinction level threat. While his actions risk perpetuating that cycle of hatred that Naruto sought to end, they also reflect his commitment to ensuring humanity's survival in the face of this overwhelming danger. The Shinju, as these predators, they represent challenges that force Shikamaru to choose between the idealism that Naruto or Kakashi would have pushed for and the practicality and the highlighting complexities of leadership in an ever-changing ninja world that at its core requires someone like Shikamaru to make the cold, logical decision that a past Hokage would have made. In conclusion, Shikamaru and Kashin Koji's plan, it is a tragic misstep that contradicts Naruto's vision for harmony and the progress that Naruto's made as Hokage. By betraying the trust of the Shinju, they risk creating the very monsters they fear, proving Madara's words about the relationship between love and hatred correct, proving Madara right about a world of winners and losers. In ending this cycle of suffering, Naruto is attempting to change it, but Shikamaru's actions right now, they perpetuate it, showing that logic without compassion only deepens divisions. That is why Naruto and Shikamaru work so good as a tag team. Naruto had the compassion, Shikamaru had the logic. The two on their own cannot exist leading a ninja world. Both of them have to exist in order to truly honor Naruto's legacy and prove himself worthy of being Hokage, which is why he does not have a Hokage on his Hokage cloak. Shikamaru is walking a very fine line right now. There has to be a way to logically conclude the Shinju threat, but ultimately he's going to walk down a path where violence is the only option. And it just makes you realize that Naruto's ability to foster mutual understanding and break free of the cycle of hatred once and for all, it is something that made Naruto a generational leader.